heard a powerful story about a man who lived in his truth. Such conviction in who he was that he would not be moved. Someone stepped out of a crowd and said, "Are you Martin Luther King?" He said, "Yes, I am." And the well-dressed man spit on him. So King took out his handkerchief, wiped the hate from his suit, gave it back to the man and said, "I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up and do what I can do. I see your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you. I once had a powerful story I used to carry around. I thought it was you all this time that kept my spirit down. But now I know the truth of who I came to be. You are my angel in disguise, not my enemy. So I thank you for the part you played, the dance we had to do. I give you back your freedom. I think it belongs to you. I will lift you up and do what I can do. I feel your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you high and do what I can do. I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up. Do what I can do. I feel your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you high and do what I can do. I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you. I give you back your own true love. I believe this belongs to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Unity of Tacoma. I'd like to welcome you those here in person and those of you here online. What an exciting morning this is. This is such a sacred and holy weekend in our culture. Sometimes it's we honor Martin Luther King Jr. once a year, and I'd love to talk more about how we can honor him every day. It's a courageous work. So let's begin our time together in prayer. I just recognize this morning that there is only one power, one life, and that life is God's life. That life is ever present, here, now, within, and throughout. And so I just speak my word that as we come together this morning in celebration of life itself, that we simply come with an open mind, that we give ourselves to that idea of safety, that we may open up and adopt a bigger understanding of who we are meant to be. And so it is. Amen.
So this is another reminder of who we are. And if you know this, or even if you don't, you can sing right along with us here. You are the face of God.
Thank you so much, everyone. This is Dallas Talley and Linda Small, and we're so grateful to have you here with us this morning at the Unity of Tacoma. Thank you for sharing your music with us.
Thank you, ChristineEss.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Oh, I did not know.
Yeah, my birthday was this week. A friend of mine said recently, yeah, when we're adults, we just celebrate the whole week long. I'm like, yeah, I can go with that. So as we get started this morning with the meat of our time together, I just want to share with you what I want to talk about before I actually talk about it. It's really pretty amazing, the legacy left by Martin Luther King Jr. and what the call is that was given to us, that concept of making the world a place for everyone, making the world a safe space for everyone. And in the last 50 years, we've definitely taken steps toward that, and yet somehow we've only begun the process, and there's so much to do. So I would like to just start by taking a deep breath. I would just like to say that this is a deep topic for people that are in that space where they're still suffering from any sort of an oppression. And I'd like to say that this is also a deep topic for those that are not experiencing oppression and may somehow be supporting a systemic situation in our culture where we're supporting oppression. for some reason in my personal life lately, there have been a lot of opportunities to simply look at what is happening around oppression and what is happening to maintain and sustain that environment. And I think one of the hardest things is when you're a person who has privilege and you don't recognize it and you don't realize what you're doing to sustain it, your heart may have the best intention of being pro equal rights, pro equality, and yet if we're not deeply aware of what's needed and what's required, we can accidentally do more harm than good. And so that's where we're going this morning. So this is where I would like to start. This is the courage of self-examination. This is the courage of taking a look at who we are and how we're showing up in the world and creating a safe place for everyone. And what I have come to understand is we cannot create a safe place in the world for everyone until we have begun making a safe place within ourselves. We cannot create something externally that we have not first created internally. We have this concept of cause and effect where the cause is consciousness and our thoughts and our thinking are the cause. And then we see an effect. We see a demonstration out in the world. We see how it comes into being. But everything begins in cause. And I can give an example. Right now, we're meeting in a building. This building would have never existed if someone first didn't have the idea to take the ground that was here and build a building. And then an architect had to have the idea of what the building would look like and how it would come together. The building cannot be built until the idea is first formed and clarified. So we have to know what the thought is, and then we have to be able to clearly communicate it in order to receive the demonstration. And the same is true with our own healing, and the same is true with our own experience of safety. We cannot feel safe unless we first are willing to have the courage to identify if there's an aspect of us that doesn't feel safe. We cannot create safety unless not only do we look and find what it is within us that doesn't feel safe, but then address it. And that's what the beauty is with spiritual work. And that's what we do here at Unity of Tacoma. It's that opportunity to come together in community and explore, do that exploration and say, what part of me is not totally aware of the fact that I am safe right here, right now, in every moment? What part of me is not completely aware that there is only one God, one power, one life in that universe, and it is moving through and as me in this moment and every moment? There is nothing for me to fear. And until we know that, we can't truly, genuinely experience that safety. And it's so important that we do experience that safety, because once we do, then we can get out of our way, our own way, and accept the bigger idea of life that is here for us. So one of the things that I want to kind of discuss this morning is white privilege and what it is. I was doing some research, and this is some directly quoted from learningforjustice.org. There's an article by Corey Collins, What is White Privilege Really? So let me just read to you a little bit about the definition of white privilege. White privilege is, perhaps most notably in this area of uncivil discourse, a concept that has fallen victim to its own connotations. The two-word term packs a double whammy that inspires pushback. One, the word white creates discomfort among those who are not used to being defined or described by their race. The word white creates discomfort among those who are not used to being defined or described by their race. I know the last time I went to the doctor's office and filled out a form and said, "What is your race?" I know how much I didn't want to be put in a box, even a box that comes with privilege. There are people who deal with that box every day, every step they take, every door they walk through, everything. It's a perspective that I needed to open my eyes to. I'm someone that believes that I do what I can to fight racism. And this is new information for me. To be defined by that box. Number 2, the word privilege, especially for poor and rural white people, sounds like a word that doesn't belong to them. A word that suggests they have never struggled. Privilege. If I'm in a position because I'm white, that doesn't mean I haven't struggled. And I grew up trying to figure out, where my meal would come from. And I grew up with it. So it's like, wow, I may be privileged, but I'm not as privileged as these people. What we need to ask is not what's wrong with the information I'm being presented, not how is this information inaccurate. The question I need to ask is, what am I defending against hearing? What do I need to hear? It may be true that I've had struggle, but what am I not hearing because I'm coming back with my pushback? Yeah, I struggled. There's more examples in getting in here. I want to look a little bit more at white privilege. I think if this week, every white person in the United States of America were to simply acknowledge the privilege they had, that in and of itself would be a massive breakthrough. It's not enough, but it's a fantastic start. And so those of us that identify as white, it will really be a fantastic, magical contribution to simply acknowledge the fact that we have privilege. And it doesn't matter if we're a person who lives in a trailer or with friends on someone's couch. It doesn't matter what our socioeconomic standing is. It doesn't matter if we've struggled. It doesn't matter if we come from a broken home. The fact that a person is white affords them privileges that you don't have when you're black. And here are some more things I'd like to share. White privilege as the power of normal. Sometimes the examples used to make white privilege visible to those who have it are also the examples least damaging to people who lack it. But that does not mean these examples do not matter or that they do no damage at all. These subtle versions of white privilege are often used as comfortable, easy entry point for people who might push back against the concept. That is why they remain so popular. They are simple, everyday things, conveniences white people aren't forced to think about. So there's 2 things that I'm hearing when I read this bit. The first part is there are some really simple concepts to help us start understanding what privilege is and helping us see that it exists. What we don't want to do is cling to these examples, the simple examples, and not look at the deeper, harder examples, because let's just call it what it is. The deeper examples are harder. They're heavier. And I don't know about you all, but how many of us really wake up every morning and are like, I'm so excited to go trekking through the mud and my feet not move and my heart heavy and I just want to cry. How many people want to do that work every day? Does that get us out of our bed? No. Unfortunately, I don't know if we have an option. If we want to get to world peace, if we want to get to a place where everybody's important, if we want to get to a place that doesn't have privilege, we got to walk through the mud. And the people that need to walk through the mud are the people with privilege, the people who already have that comfort. We'll get more into why that's important in a minute, but the 2 things I want to say, number 1, let's look at some easy things for starters. Let's not stay with the easy things. We have to get to the hard things. Maybe not this morning, maybe not in this talk, but I just really want to presence that. We have to start by understanding that there's an issue. So here's some things that until really recently, when I started doing more studying, I didn't even think about. First aid kits having flesh-colored Band-Aids that only match the skin tone of white people. The products white people need for their hair in the aisle labeled hair care, rather than a small, separate section of ethnic hair products. The grocery store stocking a variety of food options that reflect the cultural traditions of most white people. But the root of these problems is often ignored. These types of examples can be dismissed by white people who might say, well, my hair is curly and requires a special product, or my family is from Poland and it's hard to find traditional Polish food at the grocery store. This may be true. But the reason even these simple white privileges need to be recognized is that the damage goes beyond the inconvenience of shopping for goods and services. These privileges are symbolic of what we might call the power of normal. If public spaces and goods seem catered to one race and segregate the needs of people of other races into special sections, that indicates something beneath the surface. White people become more likely to move through the world with an expectation that their needs are readily met. People of color move through the world knowing their needs are on the margins. Recognizing this means recognizing where gaps exist. Step 1, recognizing gaps exist. Recognizing gaps exist. White privilege as power of the benefit of the doubt. The power of normal goes beyond local drugstores. White people are also more likely to see positive portrayals of people who look like them on news, TV shows, and in movies. And they're likely to go to a theater and see most of the movies reflect what they know in their culture. They are more likely to be treated as individuals rather than representatives of a stereotypical radical identity. In other words, they are more often humanized and granted the benefit of a doubt. They are more likely to receive compassion and be granted individual potential to survive mistakes. This has negative effects for people of color who, without this privilege, face the consequences of racial profiling, stereotypes, and lack of compassion for their struggles. I'm not going to lie. When I'm driving down the road, if I'm going too fast and a cop pulls me over, my first question is, I wonder if I'll get a ticket today. Not, I wonder if he's going to try to shoot me. Not, I wonder if I'm going to be verbally abused beyond what I have earned by simply speeding. Those are not questions that go through my mind, and that is privilege. I have that privilege of safety. And in order to expand that, I have to look at where I don't feel safe so that I can have these conversations, because somewhere in here, I have allowed myself to allow the system to stay in place. Somewhere I have not stood up for what I need to stand for, because it is not for Black people to fix this. This is a job for white people. It is always the job of the privileged to make the privilege disappear, which is what I really want to talk about for a minute here. What I know is this, is I've gone online and I hear people say, I'm white, I have privilege. Why would I want to change that? I'm better than everyone. Why would I want to change that? Why would I want to come off of my high throne and have less than? Aha, that's where it is. Eliminating privilege does not require anyone to have less than. And that is the false belief. It is not true that privilege gives us more. That is never the case. I was thinking about this last night, and I was like, how can I really simply explain this? And this is my analogy. It's not super deep. Hopefully it'll be nice and easy to listen to, right? Because this topic, every time I dive in, I'm like, oh, my heart. Okay, so privilege is simply that a group of people have opportunities over another group of people. So let's say that there are 100 people standing outside of the gates of an amusement park wishing to enter. I picked an amusement park because, secret about myself, gosh, I love amusement parks. I love amusement parks. I love the roller coasters. I love the spinning, the flipping, and the flying. I never throw up. I want to go. So what could be more exciting than going to an amusement park? Okay, so let's say there are a crowd of 100 people standing at the gates of an amusement park. Here in the Great Northwest, we have Wild Waves. Okay, so imagine 100 people standing in front of the gates of Wild Waves, or your local Elitch's or your local Six Flags, right? Okay, so there's 100 people out there. The admission fee is $50. So half of the people have $50 in hand. A few people have $100 in hand, but the remainder, they only have $2 in hand. So many have what they need for admission. A few have enough for their own admission and the opportunity to invite, specifically who they choose, in with them, while many do not have the resources to enter. So those with $2 realize, they could compile their resources and send 1 or 2 people to represent them all, but likely they will not receive admission. Let's say a benefactor were to come along and offer $48 to everyone who only had $2. All would be able to enter through the gate and have a lovely, exhilarating day in the park. The people who had $100 could still go about their day as planned, and those with $50 could still ride their favorite coasters. But now, those who initially only had $2 could enjoy the thrills as well. Being that it is a full-size amusement park and only 100 visitors, the lines are non-existent. Those who initially had enough money for admission lose nothing in the admission of the other half of the guests. The same can be said for privilege today. Giving up privilege doesn't mean giving up anything other than separation. Giving up privilege doesn't mean giving up anything other than separation. Rather, it's simply allowing a more expansive experience. Giving up separation means growing in community. When privilege is sacrificed, there is room for more talent, more perspective, more creativity, more support, more love. Everyone's life is improved. At the amusement park, there are more smiles, more conversations, more people looking out for one another, more people to bond with and connect with. Life is good. So I just want to say, as far as privilege is concerned, privilege is not good. And I don't mean for people that don't have it. I mean for people that do. And I am so saddened by the idea that we are attached to the concept of privilege. So here's the courageous step. When I look in the mirror and I go about my day, I need to have the courage to ask myself, what have I done, usually out of fear, to cling to my privilege, and what do I need to do to set it down? If I have done anything that supports privilege, it's not intentional. I did not set out to support privilege because it's not what I'm about. But it happens from time to time that I'll do something, usually inadvertently, that causes me to offend and to make less space for Black people or people of color or Indigenous people. Sometimes I will accidentally do those things. And sometimes there's pushback. I had an opportunity to work in our local high school for a while as a substitute teacher. And I remember one day I had a student arrive late, headphones in, and my thought is when you enter in the classroom and we're teaching, you need to have your headphones out so you can hear classroom instruction and teaching. And so I'm like, headphones out. No response. So I go closer to make sure we get the attention. I'm like, headphones out. And the student pushed back, and there was a confrontation, and they yelled at me and called me a racist. And, I knew that it wasn't about me. I knew that she was struggling, and I'm like, okay. But then after I left, and it was really interesting, I had one of the students, I said, well, are you a racist? And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not a racist. They're getting attention. Don't you understand? But then when I left the classroom, I actually asked myself, have I done something that maybe I'm not aware of, that maybe could offer any validity to her accusation? Is it possible there's more here than her getting attention? It is not fun to look in the mirror and ask yourself if you deserve a title when you've been called something that we think of as horrific. So I looked at it, and I explored that idea of, is it possible that I've done something that she feels like I have not created space for her? And I think that a lot of me asking those questions and getting deeper into that space of, am I doing anything that is not supportive of people, am I doing anything to cause separation? Am I making someone less than? Am I coming to conclusions quicker? And so I started exploring, and I started paying really close attention. And one of the things that I recognized was, I think a student had said to me at one point, if there are a variety of students that walk into the classrooms with earbuds in, the order in which I ask students to remove their earbuds sends a message. Like, if I ask people who are not white before people who are white to remove their earbuds, that sends a message. And I'm like, whoa, it's not just where my eyes land first. And then I recognized it's possible that my eyes are landing first, not on white people. And I'm like, you guys, let me tell you what, this is not a fun thing to recognize and deal with. When we are talking today about having the courage to recognize where you're at and what you're doing, that's not fun. But I'm so grateful that I had that experience. Now, I make this sound like a big deal, but let me just say this. It's a step. I know there are Black people that may be watching right now that say, yeah, but let me tell you where it really goes. And I'm like, yeah, I can see where this is going. And my heart is breaking for the entire situation. And what I know is I can do me. I can work on this. I can work on how I show up. I can work on what I say. I can learn. And there are resources that are coming available right now that there have not been room for in the past. There are resources coming up online. I did a book study with a spiritual group of friends in 2020. It's Me and White Supremacy. Phenomenal study, hard, and it was really interesting because the leader of this, she's like, yeah, she started off with a lot of us that were practitioners, spiritual practitioners, people that have done a lot of deep work, that we have been trained on how to do the mud slogging that was required. And she's like, yeah, I want to expand this out and do more. And man, the interest just fizzles. Yeah. This is simply Martin Luther King Jr. Day is such a beautiful opportunity for us to just remember there's work to do. This is just a beautiful opportunity, not to acknowledge one day and be done and go back to our regular lives, but to learn a new level of what needs to be done, to have a deeper understanding of what we are called into as people of privilege. So, finally, I just want to say, this is deep work, and it is important in order to make real progress that we treat ourselves to the experience of safety. So if any of this is hard to hear, if any of this is stuff that you're pushing back and saying, but not me, oh, but you don't understand, if you catch yourself with any of those phrases going through your head, oh, I don't do anything that supports that, take a deep breath and just say, I'm safe. I'm safe to look inside myself. And if you're not familiar with practices to help yourself feel safe and to move through that anxiety, your Reverend Lori is a phenomenal resource. She herself can be of support, and she can point you to resources. I myself know resources as well. There are resources and ways, and hopefully, one by one, or maybe 100 by 100 when we're ready, we can start taking some steps towards simply acknowledging what privilege is and then learning what we can do. And it starts here. It starts within each one of us, creating that safe space so that we can hear uncomfortable things and leaning into it and say, what more can I do? And just notice any resistance. Resistance is what you follow. So resistance is what we normally run away from. But what I'm asking is, when you feel where you resist, sit, breathe, open, and allow. Allow the information. Allow a deeper level of understanding wherever there's that resistance, because that's a real cue as to what we need to follow. Take a deep breath with me, if you will. Can you feel that? Just right here, right now, there is only God, and we are safe to have this conversation. So I'm going to invite Dallas and Linda to share another musical piece with us now. And then when we're done, we're going to have some time to do a meditation. Thank you, Dallas.
no concern for sin, no blurred writing on some misbegotten wall, no measured rule suggesting that you stand or fall. Let there be peace with no frightened musing of what that should be about. Let your essence spin a tale, sharing your essence that will not fail. Let there be peace that lasts as long as any line or rhyme in any song. Let there be hope that we may be just one collective living peacefully. Let us leave behind what we would never miss, forgetting all the pain and all the random ugliness. Let us lift our heads in faith, intending to sustain just this, a tranquil heart that knows its merit, radiating love and bliss. Let there be peace from within, no room for doubt and no concern for sin, no blurred writing on some misbegotten wall, no measured rule suggesting that you stand or fall. Let there be peace with no frightened musing of what that should be about. Let your choices spin a tale, sharing your essence that will not fail. Let us leave behind what we would never miss, forgetting all the pain and all the random ugliness. Let us lift our heads in faith, intending to sustain just this, a tranquil heart that knows its merit, radiating love and Thank you. That was an original. Glad you enjoyed it.
Dallas, gorgeous piece. I love that you wrote that, and how perfect is it for today? And so as we move into meditation, I just invite you to take a deep breath and let your body rest into that which supports you, be it the chair, the floor, and just allow yourself to find your seat. I always like, when I do meditation, to allow my back to not lean against the back of the chair, the wall, whatever. Helps keep me present, and I like to stack the column of vertebrae perpendicular to gravity. There's something about the flow that comes in that. So I'd just like you to all take a deep breath in this posture, in this place. There cannot be peace in the world until there are peace in the countries. There cannot be peace within a country until there is peace within the cities. There cannot be peace in the cities until there is peace in the homes. There cannot be peace in the home until there is peace in the individual. Therein lies our work. Peace is what results when we relinquish fear. When fear is released and we give it no place within our being, peace is experienced. So I'd like to bring your attention to the idea that in this very moment, the place in which you sit, you are safe. You are safe to set down anything that feels heavy, anything that feels like a burden. You can set it down. If you like a visualization, you can set it down in front of you. Anything that is a burden to you in this moment, if it's so important to you, you can pick it up and carry it again at the end of our meditation if you so wish. But for this moment, the invitation is to set it down. With each breath, just allow yourself to release some aspect of heaviness, some aspect of concern. As you exhale, we release it and we set it down. And as we inhale, we allow ourselves to experience the feeling of full support. We allow ourselves to experience the love that is life itself as we inhale. And as we exhale, we just set down or release entirely that which is no longer serving us. So stay with your breath and stay with your body, with your focus on your breath, knowing that as you breathe in, you receive the love and support that is all around you, and that as you exhale, you release that burden and your load is made light as you release your load altogether. Notice that when your burden is no longer on your back, you feel free and light and open. Freedom exists when we lay down our fear. So as we breathe in that openness, we recognize the freedom experienced in that openness. And we stay with the breath. So when we inhale, let it be of gratitude for the love that surrounds us entirely in this moment. We just inhale and we receive that love, that life. And with a grateful exhale, we recognize that from this endless, bountiful supply, that we have so much to give. So let us notice as we breathe in how inexhaustible our source is. Let us notice we could sit here for days and not breathe up all of the air available to us. Let us notice that no matter how many times we exhale, there is still more to exhale upon each breath. Let us notice the inexhaustible supply of good for our lungs right here and right now. So let us recognize that if we choose, we may recognize power as the same opportunity. Power is available to us as we release the power we have. We have to exhale in order to breathe in. As we share the love, we create space to receive love. As we share the power, we receive space to be benefited by power. This is circulation. This is what we are built to do. This is my divine birthright, and this is the divine birthright of every human being on this planet. We get to be in process with life. We get to be in circulation. So I inhale and I allow myself to receive from all of my environment. And I exhale with gratitude, knowing that whatever I do in service blesses all. And as I inhale, I remember how blessed I am by the works of many hands in this world. And as I exhale, it is with great gratitude that I have the opportunity to be in circulation and to give back, to be in circulation for that which I receive. So in this space, in this place, in this moment, I recognize I am safe to be in full circulation without boundaries. So I use this meditation as my practice to remember the truth that I am safe to be in circulation without boundaries. And I breathe in. And I receive. I breathe out. And I share. And I am joyful. And I am nurtured. I am free to express and be without boundaries. I am safe without boundaries. And so I release the idea of needing to have any sense of separation, any sense of boundaries from myself and anyone else, because there is only one God, one life, one love. And when I remember that that is what is animating me, anything that appears otherwise, rather than react in fear, I simply react in something needs addressing that badly that it expresses in a painful way, and I can acknowledge what it is. And that is someone's pain from not being safe. And I know that I am safe. I am safe enough to hear whatever needs to be heard. I am safe enough to be safe. And I can stand in my safety, and when someone else is not remembering that they are safe, I know I can create a safety space within myself. And I can remove any boundaries between me and anyone who needs to be heard. So I just invite you now to take one final deep breath in and let it out. And as you bring your attention back to right where you are and you choose to open your eyes, I would like to just invite you to come back to the space of safety so that you may stand in that space of power anytime the world calls you into this. I truly believe anyone who's involved in hearing these messages is hearing them because they're ready and because it's time. Thank you.
In a still small voice, middle of the night, Brother Martin heard the simple truth, and it fallen down till its pleading led to a crossroads, parting in the days of my youth. From the heart of my city came a single scream, and I heard it through all the white noise. And the papers told us that they killed a dream, but they never killed the still small voice. Lies come at you in a million ways. Some you hear and some you tell yourself. They say that virtue is a pile of gold, and that weapons are a nation's wealth. But when kings stand naked in their ugly schemes, will the poor of this world rejoice? Will they sell their children down a bloody stream, or will they listen to a still small voice? Now the one-eyed bandit in your living room will convince you that you have no time. It will swear to take you on your one-tree ride while it's looking for your last time. But the gift of heaven is a simple gift. You can see it when you make that choice. It will shine like riches in your inmost heart, but it will speak in a still small voice. Now the sky will open when the trumpet sounds, and its echo will shake these halls. And these stones so silent as they ring us round will shatter when they hear that call, and our chains will clatter when they hit the ground, and the people make a joyful noise. And when my lover comes to call me home, it will be in a still small voice. And when my lover comes to call me home, it will be in a still small Thank you.
Thank you, Dallas. Dallas Talley, everyone. I'm so glad. Can we have one more round of applause for Dallas? So we've come to the part of our service where we open our hearts to give. All donations we receive go to support the mission and various outreach programs here at Unity of Tacoma. There are 3 ways you can give. You can go to our website at www.unityoftacoma.org/donate and give through PayPal. You can donate through Zelle. Our telephone number for Zelle is 253-576-3225. Or you can mail a check to the Unity of Tacoma at P.O. Box 112289. I like that number. It's a good number. Tacoma, Washington, 98411. 98411. Yes, we live in the information district, and don't you forget it. So, as we prepare to give, I would like you to hold the intention of prosperity within your hands. If you have actual check or cash, you can hold that in your hands. Otherwise, you can just hold that intention in your hands, for those of us that give electronically. Visualize the circulation of abundance flowing through you. In Luke 6:38, Jesus taught us, "Give and you shall receive. You will be given much, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, it will spill into your lap. The way you give to others is the way God will give you back." And as you visualize holding your gift in your hands, please repeat after me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive. I am grateful for my blessings today. I am grateful in every way. And so it is. May the blessings of your gift bring more blessing back to you. And we thank you for your love and support at the Unity of Tacoma. So now for the announcements. Starting January 23rd, that's what, Tuesday? We'll be starting a new book and talk series. We will be discussing the book, Why Woo-Woo Works by Dr. David Hamilton. The book examines the science behind some of the alternative therapies, healing modalities, and spiritual practices that are often referred to as woo-woo. But many of these approaches are actually supported by compelling scientific evidence. So that's Tuesdays starting January 23rd. If you like what's happening here at the Unity of Tacoma, please like and share us on social media. You can go to our Facebook page, YouTube page, Instagram, share what's happening with your friends. So now I invite you to our benediction. I bless my life. I call forth the good in it. I bless the good that is coming to me, and I bless all the channels through which it comes. So I dedicate my energy and enthusiasm to a renewed, boundless, boundaryless experience of life. And I create a space within myself that is safe for me and for all of those I encounter. So I go forth to meet joy and accept and express my highest good. And so it is. Amen. Thank you so much for your amazing music today, Dallas. And you have a final song for us, Let There Be Peace on Earth, yes?
So before we sing this, I want to thank you, especially ChristineEss, for that courageous talk. It was absolutely wonderful.
It was.
And so if you want to stand up and kind of do a wiggle to get that circulation going, talking about circulation, this is our Let There Be Peace on Earth song. So here we go.